Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Optics in Action, where we spotlight leaders with vision and clarity. And I am so honored today to have John C. Morley with us. He is a podcast host, a podcaster, a serial entrepreneur. He's going to tell us a little bit about what all of that is and what all that means to him. And then we're going to have a great conversation. I can tell already from some of the preparation we've been doing that we're going to have an energized conversation. And we're going to roll with it and learn more about people, process, and purpose, and how that's evolved through John's career, and where we go from here. So, John, welcome to the show. We're excited to have you.
Thank you, Ryan. It is a privilege, a pleasure, an honor to be here to you and to all of your wonderful listeners and fans today to share what I like to call nuggets. And I love your show's theme: people, purpose, process, and purpose. I think that's great. And I think more people have to realize that we have to do those three things consistently, daily, if we want success. We can't make excuses. We have to be owning the people, the process. Very, very important in the practice.
Consistency is key. So tell us a little bit about your background, John. Tell us a little bit about who you are.
So I have a great background. As you guys probably read my bio, but my bio is basically, so I'm a serial entrepreneur, but I didn't start there. I'm an engineer by degree and trade. And so what people mostly know me for, they've known me for many years, is I've developed security for Wall Street. I do IT and technology. I have an IT company, but I started that when I was in college. And not to digress that too much, I started a very small company in college where I actually was charging $10, now not per hour, everyone, $10 to help people with their IT and tech problems. That meant if it took me 5 minutes, if it took me 3 hours, it was still $10. And if I helped you by phone, it was $5, not per hour, per incident. So I was very strict when I went out and said, look, if you have a problem with your printer, it's $10. Well, can you help me with this too? Well, that's another incident. Because remember, I really wasn't making a lot of money. And I had people out there like, hey, John, do you take credit cards? Do you take a check? I'm like, no, it's cash. Oh, let me see if I can find $10. Well, if you can't, then like I can't help you, because like $10 is like cheaper than anybody. You're not going to find anybody for $10. And I guarantee my work, and I don't ask for my money until I've resolved your problem. Oh, well, where can I get $10? I'm like, well, there's a Mac machine on campus. You probably can just go over there and just, take the money out, right? And they're like, oh, I don't know if I could do that because then I won't have money for drinking this week. I'm like, well, that's a tough conundrum to be in. I can't help you with that. Do you want your computer to work, or do you want to make a sacrifice of drinking? I would think it probably makes sense to make the sacrifice so you can have a computer that works, so you can get good grades. But I don't know. That's just me, right?
So this was the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey.
Yes, it actually was my business journey, because remember, I didn't even know what the heck an entrepreneur was. All I knew is that I believed I wanted to be in business, and I didn't want to be working for anybody else. I knew that I might work for somebody part-time, and I did work for the government and things like that, but I also realized that was not my calling in life. Mm-hmm. And not to be nasty about it, but I remember, I think it was when I got out of college, I took a part-time job with the government. And it was only 3 weeks. I think it was actually Thanksgiving. And the day before Thanksgiving, or 2 days before Thanksgiving, I went into the lady's office. We'll call her Mary. That wasn't her name. I knocked on her door and I said, hey, Mary, you have a second? She said, sure, John. I said, listen, I want to say thank you. She said, oh, well, you're welcome. No. I want to say thank you because we had a great run and we're done. She's like, excuse me? I said, well, let me try to put this in some simple words. I want to thank you for everything you've done for me. It has been amazing working for you, even though it hasn't, because they've been rude to me, all this stuff. I said, I have learned a lot from you guys, and it's time for my path to go right and yours to go left, because I was meant for bigger and better things, and you guys have shown me that.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, John, you're being very stupid. I said, why? She says, well, you're leaving 3 days before you're going to be fully vested for life. I said, I understand that. And a lot of people might be hung up on money. I'm not, because to be honest with you, whatever I do, I'm going to track so much of it. And I'd rather sacrifice something and work toward what I want than to be somewhere that I'm not going to be happy about. You know, I
All
want to
right.
be
So,
somewhere
so this
people
is this is
appreciate
your
me.
this is the start of your of sort of really that transition to purpose. So we talk about
Yes.
purpose, people,
Yes.
and process. So
Yes.
you started getting a very clear purpose in your brain of where you wanted to go, why you want to go there, really, and so that sort of started you on a new
Yes,
trajectory.
a new trajectory. Now, it
Yeah,
wasn't my true 100% purpose. It was just the fact that I knew I didn't want to be working at this company making 2% of what I'm worth.
yeah,
And I remember going out to the floor, and I'll call this lady Donna. That wasn't her name. And the lady was not always the nicest to me. It was one of the people on the floor, and they were a job recruitment and placement, and so they were very like they had this like big chip on their shoulders. And so I went out there, and she says, "Well, can you help me out?" She says, I said, "Yeah." I said, "I can spend a few minutes." I said, "But tomorrow I won't be here because it's the day before Thanksgiving." She said, "Oh yeah." She says, "Okay, well, when do you work?" I said, "I don't know, probably." She's like, "Well, you'll be back next week." I said, "Well, no." "Well, when will you be here?" I said, "Well, that's an interesting thing. I wanted to say thank you to you because
yeah,
I enjoyed being with all of you." "What are you saying?" We had a great run and we're done." She's like, "Oh," she's like, "Honey, I knew you were too good." She's like, "I knew they were going to fire you. I knew that you just couldn't hack it here. You're such a nice guy, but you just don't know what it takes to be here." I said,
yeah,
"Fired me?
yeah,
No, 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 no. Let me be clear. I respectfully
yeah.
resigned."
So tell me, so tell yeah, so that, as you think about those people, as you think about finding your purpose, so just fast forward us a little bit
Okay.
as you think about this journey of you left that, you started on this journey
Yeah.
towards entrepreneurship
New trajectory.
and
Yeah.
where you're going. Yeah, yeah. So
So
tell me about
I started
people and
that company.
process and
I
how that went.
took
Yeah,
that company from being part-time while I was working for the government. And then I realized that I need to make it full time. I need to make this my full passion.
yeah,
And as a business owner, everybody starts a business owner. We're concerned about keeping the lights on, no pun intended. We're concerned about doing things for compliancy, IRS, state, buzzwords like that scare most people. Books,
yep, yeah.
receipts, taxes, that scares a lot of people.
Those processes are things that have to be done, right? Yeah,
They have to be done. And I realize after I was in the business for a while, um, this had to be 7, 8, 10 years, whatever it was, because that company's now 33 years young this December, that no one could market or advertise my company. I tried. I had this big marketing advertising company that I hired before I graduated. And I got brought onto them because a good friend of mine at the time, we're not really friends anymore, but not because of that. He connected me with his uncle or a friend of his uncle, kind of, that was going to get us into this large advertising marketing company for like a fraction of the cost. Well, they just couldn't do what they were saying they were going to do. They made mistakes on printing. They couldn't print their way, Ryan, through a paper bag. And I say that literally. So, I mean, if you can't even print something out like this properly or
yeah,
print a card properly,
right.
how can you do business with a company like that? I mean, how?
Yeah,
They kept
yeah,
telling me, "John, you're in a competitive industry. You have to just give it time."
yeah.
I've been giving it time and I've been giving it money and I'm not seeing anything.
So
Well,
when process one of the things one of the themes that we talk about is when processes are broken, people get frustrated, right? Your
yes,
customers, your
yeah,
employees, everybody,
yes,
your vendors,
yes.
everybody gets so they had broken processes. They weren't set up to handle you. They weren't set up to help you, and their processes were broken. So it sounds what I'm hearing is you were frustrated through this process. Is that right?
Frustrated, feeling like I got taken advantage of. But I wasn't doing anything. When I graduated, I went back to get my degree in bachelor's in education because I was a glutton for punishment. And I did some consulting for IBM and some other companies, and I did it because they wanted me to have that title. Why, I don't know, but they wanted me to have that thing on a piece of paper so they could pay me more.
Right.
And so I consulted with them for a little while. But the thing that was interesting is that I was still working on my company and nobody really got this. So I said, how do I break away with somebody I'm married to? Like, how do I break out of this? This never should have happened. Like, this was like a bad dream. Like, how do I like make this not happen? And, we can't cry over spilt milk, all the money we spent and all the mistakes we made. We're going to make more and we have to learn from those and propel forward. So I realized that it's time to break away from them. But how? So Xerox was already, we were already a client of Xerox. My grandmother, who when she was alive, worked for a company called Roche. You might know Roche Pharmaceutical.
Mhm.
And so she was one of the
Course.
head, let's say, admins to one of the top research and development doctors. And she did statistical typing for a living. She was very good at it. You know, we have Word and you can set things up. Well, she would do all that in her head. And I remember one time her teaching me how to do statistical typing. I have it, but I still prefer to use Word. She would
Sure.
set up all the margins by doing all the calculations. And I love numbers, but these kind of numbers were a little wacky for me. Like, take the paper, divide. I'm like,
Oh
it's just
yeah, yeah. Those
so
Microsoft Word brought a lot of that stuff, automated it, right? Made our processes a lot easier for
yes.
people along the way, for sure.
So I remember from her before I graduated, she says, well, when you get your company, she says, you want to make sure that you get Xerox. They're the best copier in the industry. You want to get them. They're a little more money, but you want to get them. So when I graduated, we did a lease. I think it was somewhere around 30,000. We bought a cheap little copier first. It was like, I think it was like, I don't know, $400, $1,200. And it really didn't do much. And it was like one of these little tabletop things. I said, well, we really need to, bite the bullet and get a Xerox. And I remember the kid coming in to sell me the Xerox. He had this, I'm going to say slightly used BMW. He came in. And the reason I say this to you is he had an attitude. He
Yeah.
came in and he's letting me know that, he has to sell this because he's got to make his car payment. And I was like, that's not really my problem. See, my issue is that you're not listening to me.
Anytime somebody starts with the value proposition of I need to make my car payment, so you should buy this, you know there should be some warning signs there, right?
Right. So I said to him, I said, do you even know why I need a machine? No, he said, it doesn't really matter. I said, well, see, that's exactly why I'm not going to give you the business today. Well, what do you mean? Because you haven't even bothered to ask me any questions. And I think I frustrated him. He walked out. They later sent me a senior person. The senior person came in. Suppose he was giving me the machine I asked for, but then I found out 4 weeks later that even though it looked like what I wanted, the inside guts were not what I wanted. It was missing the fax board and all this other stuff. Now, they never break a lease. They just never, ever do it. Well, I call corporate, and corporate's like, well, apparently we're going to have to break the lease because it looks like this machine is not the machine that you signed for. I said, I get it. So I'm using this machine free and clear, no extra payments on it. 2 months later, they delivered me the correct machine. That machine was about $30,000. It was a black and white machine, but I say this to you for a reason. This machine had 3-4 draws. It had the scanning ability. It had everything, just not color. Because color at that time, I think, would have been like $80,000 or $100,000.
Yeah.
And so I realized how much that Xerox had changed the company and how we were able to do things we couldn't do. We weren't going to your, capital S store, your capital U store, your capital, let's say, K store, and all those letters. We weren't going there because we could print ourselves and also print a lot cheaper.
Yep.
Even though printing back then was, let's say our cost was probably close to a nickel or a dime. Now it's less than a penny. It still was cheaper than what they were charging, like 25 cents. Or I even went to somewhere the other day and they told me to do black and white copies. It was 40 cents. I said, they're out of their mind.
Yeah.
Like they're out of their mind. Their machine doesn't even have that good a resolution. Right. So I realized that when I had this dilemma, the people that could probably help me the best was Xerox. So I picked up the telephone and I said, hey guys, how do I become a mom and pop print shop? They said, John, it's real simple. We'll take you out to lunch. We'll show you some things and we'll help you do that. Fine. Next day I went there, had some coffee and donuts. Then we went to lunch. I fell in love with this machine. He said, John, it's real simple to become a mom and pop print shop. I said, how do I do it? We just need 150. I reached in my pocket and I gave them $150. They looked at me.
You're missing a couple zeros, right? On there, I think.
Yeah, 150,000. Oh, a few extra zeros. I'm going to have to check with my bank for that because I don't quite have that much in my wallet today. Went to my bank. My bank said, yes, your bank's supposed to keep you from doing stupid things. But they actually let me do that. And so now I realized I was on this path. And I'm like, oh boy, I'm down this path, but what am I doing? I'm like up a creek, there's no the paddle that I'm not sure which paddle. They're paddles, but I don't know which paddle I'm supposed to pick up. So I wasn't up a creek without a paddle. There were just so many paddles. I didn't know which one was going to be the best paddle for my boat.
Yeah.
And so I said to the bank, they said, when do you want your loan? When do you want your money? Excuse me? Oh, you're approved. I'm approved. Yeah, you're approved. The full thing, 150,000. So this kind of like made me sit back a minute. And I said, I need to put on my serial entrepreneur cap. So Jay Moore, I went from a business owner to becoming an entrepreneur when I started learning that it wasn't about the money. It was about being passionate for doing something I loved and enjoyed. I put my serial entrepreneur hat on when I realized that I have an opportunity to solve another problem. But I don't want to be a business owner first. I want to be a serial entrepreneur, which is one that does it from passion. So I said, I'm going to do something bold. I know it's risky, but I'm going to do this. They told me 150,000. I'm going to go knock on the people's doors for the Xerox. I said, hey guys, I want to say thank you. I really appreciate what you did. Breakfast, lunch. It was amazing.
Yep.
And I want to let you know some good news and some bad news. Well, the good news is, I did get the loan. Oh, great. The bad news is it wasn't for the entire amount that you guys expected. Well, how much did you get? Well, because of my credit wasn't as good as I thought it was. I only got 130,000. And I said, I apologize. I said, I wasn't trying to mislead you. What do I owe you for the lunch?
This was when business and the negotiation skills start kicking in. Huh?
Yeah. And I said to him, what do I owe you for like the breakfast and for the lunch? It's like $100. Like, what do I owe you? I want to just pay you back. I don't want to be a loss on your books. So what do I owe you? Like 100. And I was reaching to give him $100. He's like, hang on. He's like, you want some coffee? You want donuts? They always want to give you coffee, donuts. You want fruit? Hang on, let's have a seat. So he goes running around, like a little kid to like the car dealership corner office. And they're talking, hand signal, comes back out running to me. He's smiling. He says, Mr. Morley, you are in luck. I said, how the heck am I in luck? I'm 20,000 short. He says, well, normally, yeah, that would be a problem, but actually not next week. And actually today I can do what I could do next week today. I said, what can you do? He says, well, we just learned out from the manufacturer, because, we're distributors to them, that they're offering a $20,000 rebate on this machine or anything higher in the production class today, or actually anything all next week, but I could give it to you today. And so I sat there and I said, well, this is a lot. I said, I'm going to need to go home and process this. It's Friday. Let me take a day or two. I'll get back to you on Monday. I'll call you. Don't call me. I reach out to them Monday afternoon. I walk into their office. I said, hey, gentlemen, I said, as much as I want to go forward with this, I really do. There's still another issue that we haven't figured out. Okay. And it's the fact there's another cost. You see, I don't know anything about a firing electronic for imaging. I have no clue what that is.
Yeah.
And I know training's another 15,000. I just don't have it right now.
Yeah.
Oh, so why would I take a machine, even with this great discount, if I can't
use it? Yeah.
I know I could learn, but I don't think it's going to be cost effective for me to spend a year or two and then not be able to get the full value. You want donuts, you want coffee. And I don't want to just have a seat. So I have a seat. He goes run over to his manager. They're doing some more hand gestures, comes right out. He's all happy again. He's like, I forgot, Mr. Morley, to share one of the best parts of that deal on Friday. What's that? I forgot to tell you that machine's coming with 40 hours of free training. I said, oh, a $20,000 value. Oh. So I'm sipping my drink. And so what do you say? I said, so let me get this straight. So you're going to give me a machine. You're going to do it for, the $130,000. It's going to include 40 hours of training. If I decide to move forward, when could I get the machine? Tomorrow. Well, I don't want to get the machine too early and then not have training. So I'd want to get it close to when the training's going to be. Well, that could be difficult. I said, I understand. I said, maybe we should just put it off then. He goes over, he comes back, he says, if you do the deal with us today, I can get a trainer out to your facility actually the day after tomorrow, because tomorrow we'll come and install it. And the next day I'll send one of our top trainers, Greg, out there to get you and your team up and running with the firing. And I'll make no payments due on this until next year. So I won't owe you a payment until January, and it's December. Yeah, you won't owe us a payment till like late January.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we'll go. Fantastic, great. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate your business. I signed the paperwork, digital. So now I go to the advertising marketing company, knock on their door in the morning. Let's just call the guy Mike. Hey, Mike. He's like not a morning person. Mike, how are you? He said, John, how are you? How you doing? I said, listen, I want to tell you, we had a great run and we're done. I said, John, could you give me just a minute? My eyes are still a little closed. And, I'm not a morning person. You're a morning guy. I'm not. I'm more of a night guy. Let me get your sales guy, Brent. Let me give him a call. And so he gets Brent. Brent comes in. I said, hey, guys, we had a great run and we're done. And he's like, oh, that's fantastic. What are we moving on to next? What's the next project? I said, no, we're done. So then he says to me, John, he says, myself, Carrie, Ryan, Bob, Tom, Krista, Paul, Ryan, Richard, and I think Elizabeth has spent the entire night this week, 3 nights in a row, working for you tirelessly to show you a multi-million-dollar campaign that's going to take JMOR like to the next level, off the charts. Would you like to see the presentation? No. Maybe you're not understanding what I just said to your boss and what I'm trying to say to you, and I'm trying to be very polite.
Yep.
I had fun. I want to thank you for everything you've done. We had a great run and we're done. And maybe you don't understand because I'm trying to be polite. I'm going to just put in a word that a lot of people would understand. You are fired. He's fired. You're fired. Every single person in this room, as well as people in the entire company, are fired from our account.
Yep.
Now they're trying to do a 30% or 40% credit on all my past work.
No, that was the negotiation. So listen, so John, as I'm thinking about the story you're telling, one of the things you shared with me earlier is that when you think about marketing, it's about telling stories, and it's about the story that you've been walking our audience through here, of kind of that journey of, we can hear in it the purpose, like why are you doing this, where you want to go, the people who have kind of impacted along the journey, the process, the broken processes that were frustrating, the good processes that kind of come together. So how can people find out about you? How could they learn more about you, to learn more about this story, right? Because I feel like we could keep chatting all day long.
Oh, absolutely. And
Yeah.
there's other topics, we could obviously talk about too, but I think that is the most important thing, is that being a member now, I think it's about over 7 years I'm celebrating this year, being a member of the International Press Association. I'm very passionate and purposeful about creating stories that are about truth and integrity. That's really my goal. So before I tell you how you can reach me, I just want to let you know. So I'm John C. Morley. I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I am a podcast host and a podcast coach, and a specialist in helping businesses tell a story that leads to them growing and being more scalable. And of course, when we talk about scale, we talk about the fact that, they can be a lot more profitable. Now, I typically work with companies that bring in 10 million or more. And I have to say that, I just love to get people to learn what their story is, to find their story, but to do it from truth. So if you're interested in learning more about me, it's very easy. You're going to see I have it right down here. There's a link there. It's called believemeachieve.com. It's also on my hat. But those of you that are listening to the audio cast, I invite you to check out believemeachieve.com. If you want to reach out to me and my team, you can visit Orbital Media Hub.com. That's orbitalmediahub.com, and click on contact us, and one of us will reach out to you. And I would just tell you that, I get what you're going through. So Orbital Media is obviously the company that I built, that is our full print production, graphic media, digital design company. And I know that you probably know companies that are 10 billion times bigger than us. I get it. But at the end of the day, it's not how big you are. It's about your passion and about how you can connect with other people for me, just like I helped you with this story, I would invite you to read at believemeachieve.com, John C. Morley's recent articles. And there's a story I wrote there about how and why I fired a multi-million-dollar advertising and marketing company. So when you have challenges, or you're just looking to get some insight, check out believemeachieve.com, and also check out one of my daily podcasts, which right now, I'm not sure when this will air, but by the time this airs, we might even be over. I think today we're right around 70,000. By the time this airs, we might be at 80 or 90,000. But check that out, because my whole goal is to become a better version of myself and help others become better versions of themselves. And we truly can do that when we have a passion in our heart that aligns with the desires that we have for our life.
Yeah. Well, that is a fantastic inspirational way to end this episode of Optics in Action. So it's John C. Morley, and John, I sincerely appreciate you guesting on our podcast today, talking about this passion and purpose and vision and also the people and process that impacted you getting here. So thank you again for being on the podcast today.
It was a privilege and a pleasure, Ryan. And remember, I leave you with this antidote, and that is, if something's not working for you, remember to take ownership and don't play the blame game.
All right. Thank you very much. I will stop the recording.